A game set in an excellent world is usually elevated to new heights by the world it takes place in, because there's usually so many ways that a good setting can contribute to the experience. From lore and story and design to exploration and aesthetic and so much more. Obviously, there's been no shortage of such excellent settings in games over the years, and this feature is dedicated to a few of our favorites. HYRULE, the Legend of Zelda series. HYRULE has certainly been through the ringer over the course of the Zelda franchise and taken many different forms over the years. One thing that's never changed, however, is that HYRULE never fails to suck players right in. From the flooded world of The Wind Waker to the desolate post-apocalypse of Breath of the Wild, HYRULE has provided countless memorable moments that earn it a place on this list. The Forbidden Land, Shadow of the Colossus. Speaking of a desolate video game world, there's none that can even come close to Shadow of the Colossus on that front. From the PS2 original to the PS3 remaster to the PS4 remake, in all of its forms and levels of visual fidelity, Shadow of the Colossus's Forbidden Land has entrapped us every time we've stepped into it. It's unlike any other place a video game has ever taken us, and will always hold a special place in our hearts. Silent Hill from Silent Hill. The locations and environments you find yourselves in are often way more important in horror stories than in other genres, and as one of the most iconic horror settings of all time, the misty town of Silent Hill obviously deserves a place on this list. Konami's beloved series has taken players to Silent Hill time and time again, and though not all of its games are equal, the town itself remains a truly fascinating place that we're hoping we'll get to visit again in the not too distant future. YHARNAM, BLOODBORNE. Bloodborne's horrific world of YHARNAM exhibits every single strength a video game setting possibly can. From a narrative perspective, the lore and backstory of the world can keep you hooked and scrolling through item descriptions and wiki entries for hours on end, while the gothic horror aesthetic too helps gives YHARNAM a very distinctive visual identity. From a design perspective, exploring the world is immensely rewarding, and every minute you spend unlocking its secrets feels special. The Lands Between, Elden Ring. From Software has a talent for crafting unforgettable fantasy game worlds, and standing pretty much toe-to-toe with Bloodborne's YHARNAM is the massive, gorgeous world of Elden Ring, The Lands Between. It's a truly massive place, bigger in size than you can possibly imagine before jumping into the game. SINNOH, Pokemon Diamond and Pearl. With each new mainline installment, the Pokemon series has taken players to new regions of its world, and while there's a case to be made for many of them being the best of the best, there's just something about SINNOH that puts it ahead of everything that came before and after it. SINNOH captures the magical feel of the Pokemon series in a way very few other regions have, and from its size to its variety to the many secrets it hides in its nooks and crannies, it feels like a dense, living world with a unique identity of its own. USG ISHIMURA, Dead Space. Horror in space is something that we've been enjoying to varying degrees across media over the years, so we know how powerful a good setting for such a story can be. Dead Space is one of many games that strengthens that notion. The USG ISHIMURA is a terrifying place, a derelict behemoth of a ship floating out there in the beyond, isolated in space and crawling with nightmarish creatures that can rip you apart in the blink of an eye. Exploring its halls was a petrifying experience back when Dead Space first came out, and still is today. Spencer Mansion, Resident Evil. Of course, if we're speaking about memorable settings in horror games, we can't possibly not mention the original Resident Evil. The Spencer Mansion is iconic in every sense of the word. The secrets that it hides and reveals bit by bit over the course of the game, the way it's designed, the engaging lore and backstory it comes with, and meaningful additions that are made up in the RE remake. There's just so much to love about Spencer Mansion, all of which makes for a truly timeless setting that'll never lose its luster. City 17, Half-Life. The Eastern European city of City 17 has been a crucial location in the Half-Life series since Half-Life 2, and has become almost emblematic of what makes Valve's series so special. Storytelling is something that Half-Life games have always excelled at, and so often that City 17 has been central to that series' experience. There's just something about creeping through the oppressive streets of the city and witnessing the power of the Combine that never fails to grab attention. Tsushima, Ghost of Tsushima. This obviously had to be in there. Open world games rely on their settings more than other genres for obvious reasons, and very few open world titles out there can boast a world as impressive as the island of Tsushima in Ghost of Tsushima. Its gorgeous art design and visuals, the incredible environmental variety it exhibits, how it handles diegetic exploration, how successfully it immerses players in its historically inspired setting and culture. Ghost of Tsushima's world is easily one of the biggest strengths. Dunwall, Dishonored. Dishonored's Dunwall is not the kind of place you'd want to visit in real life, given all the political strife and plague-carrying rats and what have you, but boy is it fun to be a magical assassin in this city. Arcane are masters of crafting incredible worlds for their immersive sim experiences, and no game exemplifies that better than Dishonored. Learning more about the world, its history, and its denizens is just as interesting as learning the intricacies of its design and messing about with the game's systems. Psychonauts 1 and 2. Double Fine Productions likes doing weird stuff, to say the very least, and while the studio's video game stories and worlds have made a mark on a number of occasions, thus far, it's clear that Psychonauts is, in many ways, its peak. The series has taken its bizarre and unique premise and absolutely ran with it, creating a world in which you're constantly diving into people's psyches, exploring new and exciting places, and running into unforgettable characters. It's a world that sets itself apart from almost anything else you've ever seen in a game, in more ways than one. Red Dead Redemption 1 and 2. The Wild Wild West has been the star of the show in many a story and entertainment media over the years, but in video games it hasn't really caught on as widely as many might have wanted. Rockstar's Red Dead Redemption games, of course, have been a massive exception to that. The two open-world titles have brought the American frontier to life with astounding results. Red Dead Redemption 2, in particular, boasts an open world that stands as a monumental achievement to game design. Horizon Zero Dawn and Forbidden West. Post-apocalyptic settings are a dime a dozen in video games these days, and as is the case with anything that begins to get overcrowded, uniqueness and originality are harder to come by. That makes the post-apocalyptic world of Horizon Zero Dawn and Forbidden West doubly valuable. Ruled by mechanical monstrosities, populated by pockets of tribal survivors who've forgotten everything about the past, and bolstered by spectacular art design and visual fidelity, the world that Guerrilla has created with these two games is easily among the best video game settings of all time. The Mass Effect series. On paper, Mass Effect has a pretty by-the-numbers space opera setting, but just because something isn't doing something wildly unique doesn't mean it can't be appreciated. Execution is just as crucial as originality, and Mass Effect nails the former. Exploring the galaxy, meeting new alien races, learning about their cultures and their rich history of the galaxy at large, visiting new worlds and locations, that's the magic of Mass Effect. And no matter how many times we play that original trilogy, that magic never loses its luster. So what are your thoughts on this? Go ahead and share them in the comments below, and if you like the video, please subscribe to the channel and enable all notifications by clicking the bell icon to get new video updates. We upload every day and would really appreciate your support. Thanks for watching.